Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll start with item number 1, to approve the agenda. Make any additions, deletions, or corrections at this time. Teresa?
Yes, we'll remove E2. We will move B4 to F1 and add I4 historic water tower update.
Okay, thank you. Dan, anything?
I have nothing.
Lonnie? Nope. Doug?
Good.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Dan. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Lonnie. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Agenda is approved. Item number 2, consent agenda. Everything was in your packet. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Doug. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Dan, thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to B, visitors to the council. Up first, Don.
Hello, no problem. So, I'm assuming everyone saw the report of, actually my wife and I are here to ask if we can look at the dog
Don,
order.
I need your name and address.
Oh,
first.
I'm sorry.
If you need to take that.
Don, D-O-N, Vaughn, V-A-U-G-H-A-N, 104 3rd Street Northeast.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Now where to go?
But no, my wife and I were addressing the council on the idea of looking to change the dog ordinance back to actually what it was 2 years ago. Actually, we moved here October 1st, 2 years ago, and it was 3 dogs were allowed, so 4 more was classified as a kennel. And then I recently found out that, I believe 2 weeks after we moved here, it was changed around the same time as, I believe, the aggressive dog or ordinance statewide had went in. Why it was changed, I have no idea, as far as the 2 goes. But personally, it affects my wife and I. We're some of you might know, we're heavily involved with therapy work. We've been therapy dog handlers for 15 years, focusing at correctional facilities, FMC, Olmsted County Juvenile Detention. We do Steele County, and a number of other items. Well, our current working guy, we have to retire. And we have another dog who's very elderly who can't work. So we were getting ready to go back to 3 dogs, and I went to put an application the other day and realized the ordinance had changed. Hence why we're here. So, questions, I'm more than happy to answer. I do know, as stated in the note that I sent, even when I went to address the police chief or the police department, I asked them, I said, so what is the ordinance? And I was, by 2 people told, well, it's 3. And I said, well, that's what I thought. But then they looked at the ordinance and go, oh, it changed somewhere, and it is 2. I do know that there's multiple dogs in the city that they've registered 3 dogs to families, because they told me that. And from a technical standpoint, I know that there's people who have more than 3 dogs in town, but that's a different story. I'm not here to worry about that. On another note, majority of the other communities in the area, for example, Dodge Center, West Concord, Hayfield, and Byron, in Manorville, with the exception of Dodge Center, they are all 3, but Dodge Center does have an option to go to 3. And then when you look at some of the other communities, say Rochester, you go to even a higher number. So, questions that I can answer.
Any questions for that? I think this is something we can definitely take a look at. And what's your timing for your permit?
Well, actually, I've already had to turn dogs down.
Okay.
I was told not to turn dogs down, but I have, because it's the ordinance that says that.
Sure.
Actually, when I spoke with the police chief, he was hoping to potentially look at the idea of an exception, because of it being an ordinance. To my understanding, there can't be an exception, which is fine, but at the same time, it kind of puts us in a predicament. We moved to this community because of that rule, in part, because of the work that we do, and, well, we can't do what we do. I'm on the board of directors of one of the national organizations, one of the national therapy dog organizations, so I'm pretty involved, and to all of a sudden be stopped, for that, a little rough, from that standpoint. And, you know, I understand rules are rules, but also it could mean, you know, we might have to move.
Sure, no, I understand that. Any
So-
questions?
I don't really have any I guess, I don't really see a bad thing about a limit of two, but it sure should be taken on case by case after that.
Yeah.
And this,
I
you
think
know,
just from the feedback from the police chief also, we have a letter from the police chief.
Yeah, but and I've been in touch with him.
They
yeah.
were, he wasn't aware that it was,
Yeah, he thought it was three, and
Yeah.
he's in support of us,
Yeah.
of it being, the chief is in support of there being three.
okay.
Can I ask the two council members if, being they were here at the time, do you remember why it was changed?
I don't remember
that.
it being brought up.
No.
If it's changed, it's something that,
The, actually, the limit is not in the ordinance itself, it's in the definition of kennel.
Well, so the ordinance doesn't limit it to two, it's the definition of a kennel is more than two, you can't have a
It's
kennel.
3 or more.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's
somewhere
where,
it was written no more than 4 dogs over 6 months of age, in something we had to read here.
I did
Did you read that
provide
too?
you with an option later in the meeting to adopt a change
Yeah,
to
that's
the definition.
proposed ordinance.
That's what
that
the
she
ordinance
put
is.
together.
Okay.
Yeah, in G1 for that change.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Yep, no problem.
Stay tuned.
All right.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
No, it is what it is, that's why I'm here.
Thanks, Don.
Yeah, no problem.
Next we have a stand-in for Roger Frankie, that would be Dwayne Burton.
Okay, for the record, Dwayne Burton, 2001 11th Avenue Northeast. I'm here on behalf, as a proxy for Roger Frankie, requesting that the council consider changing the ordinance on the motorized golf carts to become more in line with the ATV ordinance. A little background, Roger and his wife were out riding their golf cart after 10 o'clock one evening and was stopped by an esteemed member of our police force, and they were alerted that they weren't to be out after sunset, which they weren't aware of. So he started pursuing, looking into what the ordinance did say, and with this being an ordinance that I know was a model ordinance copied from some other community and was originally adopted in 2008, it hasn't been reviewed to my knowledge, or it hasn't changed since then. So I'm here in support of his request that the council consider making the change, and make it more in line with the ATV ordinance. And I have provided the council with the suggested language that we would like to see considered. Matter of fact, I would even go so far as to suggest we may even change the hours of operation for both the ATV and the golf carts to midnight all week, rather than the Sunday to Thursday limitations of 10 p.m. I'll entertain any questions or any comments that anybody has.
Okay. Now, okay, first off, I was the idiot that got the ATV ordinance into the city. So, partially responsible. But I don't wanna see the golf cart ordinance mimic the ATV, because the ATV ordinance at the time was you were to get on a certain route and get out of town,
Mhm.
or come into town and go directly to your home.
Yep.
And with the golf carts, I realized that older people, including me, use them just to go around town, go to a store, whatever, so I don't want it to get as tight as the ATV ordinance is.
I have one question. If we're gonna do this, do we wanna look at having them licensed and insured operators over 16 like we do on ATVs?
They're required to be insured.
Yep.
But I mean,
I
but
don't know.
you got a lot of people, like this past weekend, we were trying to go for a walk over by the fairgrounds and almost got run over by golf carts on the sidewalks, but.
That was me.
Oh, all right, fair enough.
He saw you coming.
Fair enough, but, and it was actually some kids driving, and it wasn't anybody, you know, so if we're gonna do it, we gotta look at doing it as a licensed drivers in them.
And that's the way it reads now.
That is the way it reads. It's,
Yeah.
and that, what you're referring to is a matter of enforcement.
And then actually
Yeah.
have them on the roads and not on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's in there already.
Yeah, 'cause they're not supposed to be on 57, but during the truck, Big Iron, all I saw was golf carts going down 57.
Yeah.
And why we're recommending that the lighting be manufactured or commercially available lighting, we don't want somebody putting on a miner's hat and saying that's good enough.
Yes, I get it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Cause I know they make nice golf carts with turn signals, brake
yeah,
lights.
yeah, so,
The biggest issue they brought up was the time.
yeah.
Instead of sunset, you got an actual time on it versus sunrise to sunset.
Yeah, and we took it a step further, that even after sunset, there should be some sort of lighting on the vehicle itself.
Sure.
So that's why we've added that language to it.
Okay.
The reason I'm suggesting even midnight is, you know, in this day and age, population is awake all hours of the night.
Right.
And if you've got proper lighting and you're responsible, midnight isn't gonna be much different, particularly in an unobtrusive golf cart versus an ATV.
And most of them are electric, they have no
Right,
noise.
and you
anyways.
wouldn't
No.
hear them. Those who are gonna violate this ordinance are gonna violate the ordinance whether it's
No matter
10
what.
a.m., 10 or
Yes.
midnight, so.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
So I just offer that as a
The only thing I
suggestion.
could see is, any kind of weather, you know, you don't wanna be up to the store and it starts raining and you're not supposed to drive your golf cart. You know, you wanna be able to get home,
Yes,
you know, so if there'd be some stipulation that you can.
at least
head
get
down
home,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
You hate to have them not able to run in the rain.
Yeah, and Doug, to that point, that's why I crossed off that inclement weather is pretty nebulous.
Yeah.
I figure if it's raining that hard that you can't see it within 500 feet, it's appropriate. But if it's just raining, you should still be, particularly a lot of these golf carts have covers, they have shields on the sides, and window
More
shields.
coverage than my motorcycle.
Yeah, yeah, so,
Okay.
you know, that's why I crossed off that particular part of that language.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll take into consideration, we'll get with the police department and administration and get something back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 3, Dave Doubles.
Dave and Aileen Doubles, 205 Fifth Avenue Northwest. We are here to request a reduction in our street assessment. We see that our neighbors' properties to the north and to the south are paying as a half unit, whereas we are a full unit. The half unit properties are on the corner of 2nd and 3rd Street Northwest. All of the city services are on the avenues: sewer, water, and storm sewer. There are no services on the streets that run east and west. We all have similar sized lots, and there is one property assessment that was reduced by half. We hope to come to an agreement on the matter tonight. We feel that half of the assessment is a reasonable request.
Okay, thanks for your input. We're gonna be addressing that in the closed session later. Thank you. Do we have any cards for public forum tonight?
No.
Okay. On to E, committee report, Meadowbrook second final plat.
So the final plat was approved with conditions, and those are in the, resolution that's in your packet. I did make, from the time the packet went out until you see it in your electronic packet today, I made one small change, and that was specifically add the drainage easement between lots 4 and 6 and block
Block
1.
one.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
And block 1, but otherwise, this is coming to you. Planning Commission had a public hearing Monday night.
Perfect. Thank you. Any questions on the recommendation from planning and zoning?
Good.
Doug, anything?
Look good to me.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the final plat for Meadowbrook second.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Tony, for continuing to develop in the city. Appreciate it. We deleted E2. we're gonna go on to G1, kennel ordinance revision.
F1, yes. F1.
Oh. Yep, F1.
Too many things are
Can't
right.
read my own handwriting, so we're gonna go to F1, old business, that's Tanya Young.
I was like, don't skip over me, please.
Yep. And that's actually B4 in your packet, if you're looking at the map that's in there, so.
So we just, met with, or been visiting with Tyler and got the street closures, so we've just moved it from Third Avenue, from Main, where we would turn at the theater, and moved it over to First Street. Otherwise, the map is the same as last year. So, he said as far as he knew, everything would be open, so we're set for October 8th, for the parade at 3:30. And now that we pretty much have a approved map, we can start working on our flyers and getting the word out.
Thank you. Any questions for Tanya on the route?
Nope.
So, and all of you have gotten the suggested list last time, and of items that we'll be asking for on the parade, or filled shoe boxes, so we're very excited to get, the city involved and, partnering with you guys, and been talking with, had a meeting with the Dodge County Sheriff this week as far as possible closures, and they were gonna get back with me if they felt like anything needed to be closed and still really be leading the parade.
Okay, yeah, it's all on city streets, so we're on Medway Avenue. Any questions or comments? Do we need to approve the parade route?
That would be really nice.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the parade route for October 8th at 3:30 with, as indicated on the map provided.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Second, thanks Doug, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a successful parade.
Thank you.
Okay, now on to G1, city ordinance regarding dog kennels. So it looks like the issue with the number of dogs was in the definition of kennel, not necessarily a limit put on the number of dogs a homeowner can have.
Exactly.
So this is a,
Change to the definition of kennel.
okay. Any concerns, questions? For myself, it seems reasonable to me.
I'm fine with it.
I really, as I read through the book of ordinances last November, December, I must have skipped over that, I didn't know we had an ordinance that limited how many dogs we have. So,
It's tough when the requirements are in the definition.
yeah, so, any comments or questions on that? Seem reasonable to everybody?
What are you gonna change the limit to then, or no limit?
4. 4 or more dogs.
It's a kennel, so 3 and under is not a kennel.
Okay, sound good.
Yeah.
Entertain a motion to approve the ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
Stan, have a second?
I'll second it.
Lonnie, thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
And for clarification for everyone, that will be published a week from tomorrow and will become the official ordinance of the city. So as of next Thursday, a week from tomorrow, the new ordinance will go into effect.
So that's the 21st
Yes.
of September. Okay. Thank you. And thanks, Don, again, for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Number G2, adopt preliminary levy and budget. So everybody's got in the packet the preliminary levy and budget. This is, again, preliminary. Whatever we adopt tonight is gonna change between now and December. Can't go higher than what it is tonight, we can go lower. So, any questions or comments from council, or do you wanna open it up to the public first?
Whatever you want it.
Either way, okay.
Go ahead, no.
It's not a
So-
hearing, it's just a discussion.
Yeah, so it's just discussion. So does anybody have any comments or feedback? No? Okay. The truth and taxation hearing is in December, the official truth and taxation hearing, so. So Dan, do you have anything you wanna?
No, Still looking through it,
Okay.
coming up with ideas.
Anything in particular specifically for tonight?
No, we've had some discussions and
Okay.
we'll have more as it goes, so
Yeah.
I'll take comments.
Okay. Why?
I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, I've had the chance to meet with Nancy and Teresa several times. They put up with a lot of my questions, Nancy especially. I've challenged them a little bit to the point where they looked at me kind of cross-eyed, like no one's ever asked us that question before, or quite that way, or nobody ever wanted to do that. Or maybe Nancy told me, what are you crazy? So,
She'll never say that.
yeah, she looks at me that way.
She
No,
won't say it.
but we're gonna work hard on this. We've got some meetings set up with some of the different department heads, and I'm gonna meet with the police chief when he gets back from vacation. So we're gonna go through department by department and look at it. So take the opportunity too, as council members too, to visit with the department heads, find out exactly what it is that's on their minds and why. So we'll go from there. So I'll entertain it. Nancy, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Nope, only that you do need to approve the preliminary budget, and you do need to approve the preliminary levy, because we have to report it.
Okay, can we do that as one motion, or does it have to be two separate motions?
Ideally, two.
Okay.
And then, just to let you know that, I did compare with a few other cities right now, and these are only preliminary. But Dodge Center, the preliminary 7.18, Stewartville 7.2, Byron 4.4, and that's their target for the year. That one may not change. And Manorville 7.0. And then, yes, mayor and council are interested in bringing that down, but this is the start. So it's a good start, and we will have more discussions about it.
All right, so I entertain a motion to approve the preliminary budget.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Preliminary budget is approved. Now, the levy, do you need that as a dollar amount or percent? I can't get my screen to rotate.
The dollar amount.
Dollar amount.
So it's what's listed in the budget.
Okay, so the general and other levy total,
Yep.
$3,197,445. That's $280,821 more than last year.
260.
$260,000.
Hard reading.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the levy, $3,197,445.
I'll make it.
Thanks, Doug. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Fine, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Mayor's report, I don't have anything in particular tonight, besides we are working on the budget a lot. So we'll go on to the administrator's report.
Okay, so the first item is that there was a discussion at a previous meeting, and we just want to affirm, and if this could be by motion, that would be great. So to affirm that the December 13th will be your hearing for the final levy.
So the truth and taxation hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so is there any, they want to confirm so we can get something,
Right, we'll publish it.
so December 13th will be our final levy date. We'll have the truth and taxation hearing that evening, open to the public, and we'll approve the budget that evening.
Yeah.
So December 13th is the day. So we shouldn't have any conflict.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah. I'll entertain a motion.
It won't be snowing that day, right?
Nope, we put in an order for no snow that day, water will be perfect.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Dan, thank you, have a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Lonnie, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. December 13th is the day you can publish it.
Okay, orderly annexation. So, the city was, contacted by individuals, who have property that is contiguous or abuts the city, about access to city water. And in order to, make that possible, they had, requested the annexation of 3.5 acres, which, is the property that the homesteader has the home on it. And that went to Manorville Township Board last night. This is part of our orderly annexation agreement with Matterville Township. So it's now here for your consideration.
Okay, thank you. That joint resolution is in our packet. This is the one we discussed the last meeting to bring this back, so I don't have any issues with it. It still feels like I did last time. If they wanna bring it in, they understand what the future ramifications are, that if there is development on that road in the future, there will be assessments then as well.
That
was
is
more-
part of the development agreement.
Yep. So-
The petition and waiver agreement, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So
we
they're-
specifically added that language to, so that they're fully aware of that,
Yeah.
as was requested at the last meeting.
And it was explained to them, it wasn't just worded, I mean, they do know.
Correct, when we met with the individual, on site, we did talk about the assessment potential.
It's always better to say it up front. Write it in.
Now, are you hooking to water and sewer?
No.
Just water now?
There's water.
You're gonna stub everything in with it?
We're gonna stub a city water main across the township road, and then that city water main would abut the property, then the property would carry their private service from there, just like any other, home residence in the city.
Can I ask you a question? So if you're gonna go through the road, to put in the water, correct? Why not stub a sewer at the same time? The only reason I'm asking is, it'd be cheaper to do it now than down the road, say their septic fails, and they need to get hooked up. We'd rather see them on city sewer than build another septic system. That's just my view.
We could potentially, I was thinking more if it was ever developed over there, then we'd make the developer run
I get
the
that.
sewer over there.
But say they don't develop that,
Mhm.
and things happen.
Then we'd the question would be, is do we extend the city main over there, or do we put a low pressure grinder pump with the service into the manhole on the other side of the township road and bore it to, would be my other thought, we could do that as opposed to having to extend the city sewer across the township road.
Okay.
What would the rough cost to run the sewer? I mean,
Well, quite frankly, I'm surprised we're even at this point, just due to the cost, to extend the water main across, so, if that was borne by the homeowner, that might be the make or break it point, is putting in a well. So now to answer the question, it'd probably be, I would say another 15,000 probably till we set another manhole and dig the sewer across. I get some numbers if that's the council's direction from the contractor doing the work.
Well, I guess like you said, if the sewer did go bad, the next best step would be to bore a 2-inch line across.
It's my initial thought, put a grinder basin in wherever the septic is and low pressure sewer into the city system on the east side of the township road.
Right.
And if that residual property, farmland over there was ever to be developed, well, then we'd be running the sewer across, or the developer would be running the sewer across and hook to the city water, so that was the thought at the time, so.
Right. I just don't like the idea of a septic system being within the city property. I just don't see them gone.
It is a mound system, it's fine.
Doesn't make any difference, it's still.
All right,
Made to
I
fail.
yeah, but I just did want to emphasize that.
How many years old is your mountain? Do you know?
I believe it was installed either in 94 or 95.
They should be good. Keep garbage disposal away from them and pump them every year or every other year. Keep them solid.
Guess I'm good with it, that's my only concern.
Yeah, we're not trying to
No.
put more burden on you.
I don't wanna
We're just-
cause problems, I just am trying to look out for your
For the
future.
You got the road open is what we're thinking.
Well-
Right.
Well, if the road gets updated first, well, at that time you'd have a chance to do it.
I'll have to look at the lay of land too, I'm not sure if the sewer would actually go there, because the other thing is, part of Bigelow Void on the very northern end of town, we have a 20-foot deep sewer that may pick that area up.
Okay.
We've got a property in the way, we'd have to jump over the property.
So we could take off from there with a 2-inch
Yeah,
line if theirs would ever fail or something.
I'm not sure much of that area over there would even be gravitated into that sewer, it may
Right.
not be intended, so I have to look at that a little closer also, but I'll report back to the council, and if I think it's appropriate to get a number, we'll get a number and report back.
I guess I'm okay with it as it is right now. I just wanna be sure that they're covered too.
The sewer is dead ended there, a manhole right at the township road, isn't it?
Yeah, it's farther
I
east,
think
yeah.
it is.
but I'm just not, again, I'm not sure how much sewer it actually would drain to.
Sure.
How much sewer area we'd serve over there than the one individual
Yep.
house, and it's probably not worth it to run a main across there at that point.
Okay.
Just wouldn't be cost effective, nor would the city have any use for another main to continue to be extended, so.
Just
But I'll
ask.
look at it, and if I feel it's appropriate to get a number from the contractor, we will, and circle back if needed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon.
She's got a question.
I do have a question. On your orderly annexation agreement, there is a 5-year limit on when I need to put in sewer. If it's not available, or it says that I need to put in a sewer, connect to the city sewer system within 5 years of the approval.
There's another reason we'd be looking at this, you know.
So is this subjective, is it available, or is the septic compliant
Well,
currently?
because when I spoke with Teresa earlier, the first time, she mentioned that the sewer would be coming from the north because of the, I'm
Okay,
assuming
like
the
you said.
topography
Yeah.
of the land. 'Cause
It,
it's
it
downhill.
just depends on elevations, if they can
Right.
get flow. Correct?
Yeah, correct, that's something we're worried about. I'd have to pull, I'll just circle back with you and.
Well, if they've got a mound, they're already pumping it, so we'll have to
Right.
pull.
But it's downhill from the house.
Right, but
The mount.
if you're, okay, say your septic system fails, and you wanna hook up, like Brandon said, we could bore a 2-inch line, you're already using a grinder pump now to get up to your mound, okay? So all you'd be doing is hooking up to the 2-inch line to the city, and you'd be pumping right into the city, correct?
Correct, yep.
So
Well-
it's an option. Go ahead, Doug.
They could be gravity to their tank, and then it's settling out in the tank
Yes.
and then going out to the mound.
They probably
Just
have a
pumping
lift,
out to the-
a lift tank,
Yeah, just
yes.
a
Yep.
clear water pump.
Right.
If the septic went bad, it'd probably be more cost effective to hook to the city anyway.
Right, because
I'd be
to
done
rebuild
building
the
a
mound, I don't know how much
15,000,
room you
20,000
have out there, but to put a septic, another mound, if the mound would go bad,
I don't know the answer to that.
it'd probably be just as expensive as hooking up to the city.
I'm guessing, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, if we were
And
to.
at that time, I could do it.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna pick up much sewer if we extended it across to the township road to the west. So it
Okay.
continues to fall to the west, into the north, into the west, and then comes kinda back around into town, so I don't think extending a sewer main would be the appropriate thing to do.
Okay, you're the expert,
But I'll get a little closer here.
okay. I just wanna make sure you're covered.
Well, then if you said it said somewhere within 5 years you had to hook up, we want that crossed off, and then that wouldn't be fair going with it.
Well,
That's
that's in
between
our.
you and the township.
Yeah, that's between the Manorville Township, that's in the actual orderly annexation agreement that the city has with the township of Manorville.
So where does that leave them?
That leaves them asking for permission if something comes up in the next, or if they're still functioning in 5 years, they could come back and ask for an extension before they would have
Okay,
to.
that'd be available. Okay, as long as they're covered, if they don't, under the gun, they gotta do something in 5 years, their septic's still working, they're fine there, right?
Yep, okay.
Okay,
So we're good on that?
You
sounds good to
okay?
me.
You okay?
You're saying if in 5 years,
You could get an extension.
I
Well,
could
you
get an
can-
extension if my
Yep.
septic field is
I,
still working
I,
fine?
you can ask for an
You can ask.
extension. I'm not gonna guarantee that they're going to agree to that, but.
Right. And is that transferable if they sell? Can the people that, whoever buys this, that will also be available to them as well as to ask after the 5 years?
Well, they can always ask.
Yeah.
Right.
So are they asking Dodge, or Manorville Township, or the city?
Sure, the city.
City
That's
now.
the city, okay. There's no way for us to write that extension in there up front.
I would
Discourage that.
strongly
That's my
discourage that.
Well, you're
could-
unilaterally
Subject-
changing your agreement with the township.
Right.
Right.
But the township said last night that won't, they said something that won't be in effect anyway, so we'd have to come to the city, that the township would be out of it by then.
Sure.
Correct, if you're annexed into the city, then they, you're.
They're out.
Township doesn't have any more say over it.
Correct.
All right,
Okay,
I'm good.
very good.
Yep.
yep, I'm good.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the joint resolution of Manorville Township and the city of Casson, 3.5 acres.
I'll make that motion.
Doug, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Lonnie. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. And number 3.
So this is the petition and waiver agreement that goes with the water main project that we just discussed.
Oh.
The updated one, right?
Yes. Yes, and it was updated to add some clarification, so you have 2 in your packet. The revised one, is underlined where there were revisions, so that you can see, where those are.
Any questions, comments on the petition waiver agreement? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the petition waiver agreement between the city of Casson and the family trust. There was a whole big paragraph to read there.
I'll make that motion.
Trust.
There's 2 trusts.
2 trusts.
Yeah.
The revocable trust and the
Revocable
family
trust
trust.
and the family
Yeah,
trust.
okay, that's really, I'm like, right.
I know, it's a mouthful.
Yeah, I'll entertain a motion to approve the petition waiver.
I'll make that motion.
Dan, second.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Doug. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Petition waiver agreement approved. Okay, number 4.
Water tower update. So there have been lots of informal conversations in the community regarding the historic water tower. And I'm happy to report that I had an opportunity to be introduced to the new executive director of the Dodge County Historical Society today. Spoke to him for a few moments, and he and I are planning to meet next week. So I can update you at your next meeting following our opportunity to sit down, and he's very interested to review the documentation that I have and make sure that his documentation is complete. And I will update you following our meeting.
Okay. Anything else? Water tower. Okay. Engineers report.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. 2 things tonight. The first one's change order number 1 for the wastewater treatment plant. This is just information only. There was a previous action by the council to approve this change order. This is just a correspondence to MPCA noting that they did approve that change order, and it is within the fundable amounts, or it would be part of the funding package for the treatment plant. So just more of a FY tonight, and no action needed on that. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have.
That's good for me. Anybody else? Questions on that? Thank you.
All right, same thing with the second item, just informational only, no action needed this time. You may remember the last council meeting, we talked about applications the city made to MnDOT for Highway 57 reconstruction and potentially year 2021. And part of that reconstruction, also we asked MnDOT to kind of bring their money or get their money to the table, and the city would get their money to get table for MnDOT paying for highway costs, city paying for utility costs, and there's some other cost share for sidewalks and storm sewer, et cetera. And this letter here is informing the city that they were selected to receive those state funds, so MnDOT is bringing their money to the table for, again, a 2021 year project. We're currently working with MnDOT on the scope of the project and getting some harder numbers on the cost participation schedule and who's paying for what and different percentages in the scope of the project. So then secondly, we talked about the storm sewer relief line from the stoplight area in front of the police department and public workshop there, bringing that straight to the east. That was a city project that was planned. So MnDOT's not wanting to tie that project to this project and allocate state funds directly to that project, nor do we maybe want to, because there's some strings always tied to MnDOT money. It's just easy. It's more difficult, and there's some strings attached with MnDOT money. So that's not going to be directly part of that agreement, most likely not directly part of that agreement, but that was used, that cost, to acknowledge the fact that there's additional cost here for the storm sewer. That's kind of been used in our cost participation that we're working on with MnDOT right now. So does that make sense to everybody, how the storm sewer is working out? So this discussion and what we're working on with MnDOT currently is going to be coming back to the council on a more formal agreement between the city and the Department of Transportation, MnDOT, once we work out the scope and the cost participation. So that's when action will be needed from you as a council at that point to say, okay, MinDOT, you got your money on the table, we're ready to move forward to scope this project for a 2021 project. So that's where we're gonna ask ourselves the question, is this something the city wants to do? So if you ask me the questions of what we wanna do, yes, that's the next big project that we've been looking at, after the third, fourth, and fifth project. It's the next most important infrastructure investment that we showed when we looked at, the infrastructure as a whole of the city. So, that'd be my recommendation. Again, there's no, action tonight from the council. We'll be bringing it back in a more formal agreement in the future, so.
Do we know on that, the state dollars that were available, you went and presented, you and Teresa went and presented, and it was between Caston and Northfield?
Yep.
And then now they've said, okay, did both communities get something? Did we get all of it? Did we?
We're likely gonna get all of it. I don't think Northfield's gonna get anything. Depends on how much it's gonna cost MinDOT. 'Cause they had a total of 3.7 million, so we put in for the full 3.7 million. But we're working out the scope of the project with MinDOT right now. It might be slightly less than that. The total project might be less than that, so MinDOT's participation might be less than that.
Okay.
So, and this project would be from Old 14, County Road 34, all the way to the north end of the fairgrounds, which is 11th Street. It'd be through Main Street. The city would be leading the project as we move forward. So myself and the council will be working out the scope of the project. What do we do with parking along Main Street? What do we do with the stop sign, railroad crossing, beautification, aesthetics, lighting, all those things we'll be working out here over the next few years, because 2021 might seem like a long time, but to get a important project, a corridor like Highway 57 through towns, takes some years to develop. And of course, MinDOT's got a lot of say in review and whatnot, so, I guess it's good to know that MinDOT's willing to fund this. They see this as an important investment from their highway perspective, along with our infrastructure that's failing, our sewer and water, our flooding issues we've had, so it's good news that, MinDOT's got bringing their money to the table, and we'll be working through more details as we go on here until we're hopefully building something in 2021.
Thank you, Brendan. Thanks for working on that project.
What's the plan then with the storm sewer, really?
I think next spring. I think we bid it this winter, and we'll let construction this winter and build it next spring is what I'm thinking. Happy to take any comment from the council. I think that's just gonna be the best at this point. Got a lot going on.
Too late for this year, isn't it?
We could maybe sneak it in, but it's just gonna be hit and miss on contractors in the winter. Late fall, it's just tough.
Costs get higher, yeah.
It's getting late. But I think it's good that we waited, though, and brought the conversation to MinDOT. So I think it's helped us in the negotiation I'm having on the cost participation and getting MinDOT's knowledge that there's a cost with the storm sewer that is in the city's interest, in the MinDOT's interest, but it's just logistically on a MinDOT city agreement to lump that cost in if we do it before the project in 2021. And I'm not sure we want to go down the road of doing it as part of the project in 2021 with the flooding that we've had and the disruption of the businesses that we've had either, so I think
Well,
that's.
we'll get everything upsized downtown there where we need it, because more of it's gonna be coming
From the new
from the
project.
north, right?
So, we'll upsize from the low point, which is right in front of the police department there, get that ultimate outlet out. MinDOT already there's a pretty significant storm sewer already in MinDOT. We'll likely be, in MinDOT's highway along 57, we'll likely be upsizing all of that just as rain intensities are more and more.
Does much of that come down to there, though, to go on?
Yeah, all of the Highway 57 from kind of the high point, which is 8th Street, the skewed intersection there, North Park, that's the break point. From there it goes north and also to the south to Main Street. So that, as we upsize that storm sewer and add more catch basins and upsize it, you're right, more water will be getting through the pipes to that low point, which is now the choke point where the pipes come together. So when we upsize from there down, it'll be a better functioning system and less frequent flooding.
The biggest issue was it had to come down and turn to unload.
Here on Main Street and 57?
Right, well, I mean, past Main Street, where it turned to go underneath railroad tracks. Because that's the main outlet out of there.
Yep, so we're gonna leave that line in place, and we're also
Right.
gonna run one straight
But I
east,
mean,
so.
that's why it always backed up there so bad, because it had to come into that manhole and head south.
Yeah, well, in addition to that, there's I think a 36, a 24, and a 24-inch pipe into 136 pipe, so it's really the bottom
Yeah,
end, but.
it is bad.
So.
Rain hard to caught up.
Oh, my God, yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it.
That's all we have.
Nothing personnel, attorney's report.
There is a development agreement in your packet for the Meadowbrook second subdivision. It's referred to in the resolution that you already approved back up, earlier in the meeting for the Meadowbrook second final plat. You've seen similar agreements for all of our other new subdivisions, in the past. It has the requirements about the letter of credit as security, insurance requirements, dedication, of infrastructure, ownership of infrastructure upon completion of the project and inspection by the city. We have included in there that, the city engineer has to approve before the city will accept, infrastructure to make sure that we're not, becoming responsible for substandard infrastructure, et cetera. So you've seen some of very similar agreements before. I certainly welcome or happy to answer any questions that anyone has about it.
I'm fine with it.
Well, these are getting to be pretty standard, like this, not anything.
Yep.
Because they're working, so.
So far, so good.
So far, we're working as far as not accepting substandard, correct?
There you go, Fred. This is really good to see consistency.
Yes, so that the developments are the same.
Yep.
Agreements are the same
Everyone's
for
on the
everybody.
same page, so everyone's treated the same.
Do we need to approve that? Is that your presentation? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the Meadowbrook Development Agreement as presented by the attorney.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Doug.
I'll
Second?
second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Thank you very much. The next item, L2, is going to be a closed session. The meeting is being closed to discuss litigation strategy related to the assessment challenges. So this time we'll close the meeting. If you'd like to step outside, we'll close the doors and we'll call you back in when we're done. Thank you.
But I'll try to remember.